Welcome to the In My Opinion Show with Ronald Berry Robinson and friends, seen on the internet 24 hours, 7 days a week. The In My Opinion Show is also seen on Comcast Cable Television, Channel 17 Flint, Michigan, every Saturday at 6 p.m. and every Wednesday at 8:30. The In My Opinion Show is seen on Comcast Cable Television, Channel 68 Detroit, Michigan, 7 days weekly. Please consult your community calendar. We have a very wonderful program in store for our millions of viewers worldwide. But first, I want to introduce our capable co-host. We have Miss Denise Smith Allen.
How you doing, Ronald?
Great. We have Mr. Henry Hatter.
Hi, Ron. Denise.
Hi.
Good. Let me warn our millions of viewers worldwide. This is going to be perhaps a controversial subject. All right. So, religion, is it fake? Paganistic? People want to say religion is taboo and we should not talk about it. It's off limits. Why? But billions of people rejoice every day. Why? Why is it necessary to have hundreds of different faiths? Is not the three main so-called religions enough? Catholicism, Judaism, and Islam. Many pastors and priests are robe-wearing pimps of the pulpit, money-grabbing leeches of the community, returning hardly anything to the people that can least afford to place money in the coffers, let alone pay tithes. Sellers of false hopes, cures, dreams, snake oil. These snakes, fornicators, pedophiles. This is not indicative of all religion or practitioners, but the jury is still out. This is my opinion. And I'm sure my co-hosts will have differing opinions, but that's great. And also, too, if our viewers worldwide have comments that they would like to make, please email us at inmyopinion@att.net. Denise, what are your thoughts?
Well, let me just say that religion, in my opinion, is something that is man-made. I believe that spirituality trumps religion, and spirituality is a relationship with your Creator. And so that to me is an individual thing. Now, I am a practicing Christian. I am a Christian and I believe in Jesus Christ. I believe in the Bible. Okay, so I'm going to start that off by saying this is my choice. I believe that through my personal relationship, through study and convening with other like-minded individuals who are believers, it helps me make it through my day. It helps me in terms of the various things that I do as far as my work, my family, and various other things that I am engaged in. So therefore, I cannot argue your feelings about how you feel about those people that are in religious positions, because quite frankly, there have been some disappointing and some terrible things that have actually happened, whereas some people have fooled folks because they didn't take the time perhaps to investigate those people that are in leadership roles in churches or other organizations that profess religious beliefs. So, we're not as far away or far apart as you may think in terms of, wondering about the fakeness, because there probably is some fakeness going on. But it is up to the individual to develop their relationship with their higher power or the God of their understanding. I have made a choice. I tell you who I believe in and why I believe. And I think that others will, either feel that way or they won't, based on their experiences.
Well, I'm not an atheist. I think I gravitate more to being an agnostic, okay? And for the people out in the internet, agnostic. An agnostic is someone who believes that humankind's knowledge of the observable world and universe is not adequate to make a logical determination regarding the existence of non-existence of God. Mm-hmm. An atheist, on the other hand, while they wouldn't deny the statistical possibility of an existing God, believes that mankind's knowledge of the observable world and universe is adequate enough to determine that the existence of God is an extreme statistical improbability regarding the religious texts of the monotheistic faiths, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Atheists note that the God described in these texts is not congenial to the reality of the world and universe, as well as the human species. They also point out that the metaphysical claims of the Abrahamic texts have been factually refuted by scientific evidence for several hundred years. And the reason that I'm more of an agnostic, I think, is because of personal experiences. All right. I mean, when I was growing up, we went to church, and my mother and father, and actually my whole family, were believers. But as the years progressed, all right, I seen things. All right, and they only taught us what they were taught when they were children, when they were young. So I can understand that. But as you go out into life and experience different experiences, all right, you encounter things that that not only are they confusing, but they bring light to something, whether through education or personal experiences. And when I look at what's happening, around the world, all right, with the churches and just humanity in itself, in my mind, if there was a God, okay, then a lot of these tragedies shouldn't occur. Okay, we just go recently to Newtown. Okay, now if there was a God, all right, you know what I mean. Things like that should not occur.
Okay,
in my opinion.
Ron, I beg to differ with you, because I say that God has a divine will and He has a permissive will, and He allows certain things to happen to draw attention to the needs of people. Okay, there are people who are disturbed, and there are people who are complacent, and people who think they have arrived, and there's all these different attitudes, if you will, okay? And so the God that I understand and have studied about allows things to happen to draw attention to a need, okay?
But that's too simplistic.
It may be simplistic. It may be simplistic, but that's a reality, because here we are from the beginning of time. Mm-hmm. There have been tragedies and there have been triumphs, mm-hmm. okay? And there will probably continue to be that, okay? Because the world is made up of humans who have various thought processes and all of the other things. And so, but it goes down to a person's individual belief system, and knowing that we all have a physical frame, but inside that frame, there's a soul. And we are here on a journey. Nobody is here to stay forever. And while we're here to learn some lessons. And so those lessons, like I said, spirituality, there is a big difference between that and the religion, because religion is the thing that has confined us and made us critical of each other in terms of, your belief is better than my belief and that kind of thing. So I just share that with you because, again, this is from my point of view, mm-hmm. my perspective, based on my experiences and what I've studied and believe from reading the Bible. Because a lot of times you have religious people who attend a church, but they don't understand the very religion they profess to believe in. They don't open up that book. They don't go to the study places where they can learn more about their religion, and because they don't know these things, they're not even in a position to challenge those people who are in leadership to know if they're wrong or right. They just follow.
But see, all of that is man-made. All right?
Well, that's what I'm saying. That part is.
And where I have difficulty in seeing, the light, if you will, is that, the written word, was only came into existence, a few thousand years, a couple thousand years ago. All right, everything else was, they had these folk that I forget what the name you call them, but they oral history people. All right,
There were scribes. There were people who wrote, and then there were people who transmitted the information orally. And see, we're talking only strictly right now about Western religion. You're talking about three main religions: Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. Those are the three. But then you've left out a whole segment of folk because you've got Eastern religions.
Talking about religion
Period.
per se.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, but we're speaking about what we have been trained and understand. But if you look at it from a global perspective, I mean, there's some people out here worship trees. We don't know all of various religions that are out here.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I alluded to that.
Right, but the point still being, I think you've kind of narrowed the scope by saying, well, you're talking about priests, you're talking about, what you call them, pimps in the pulpit. So you're talking about those persons who profess Christianity. Okay, so you're narrowing the scope. So if you're going to say,
but even in the word Christianity, that's
Christianity
that's
is
a European.
It's a follower of Christ, is what that is. A Christian is a follower of Christ.
Well, Judaism, that's a follower of Abraham, if you will, or Islam, is a follower of Abraham. Okay, or thereof somewhere. I'm not an expert on this. All I know is what I see and what I don't see out here.
Okay. But religion is based on faith. And faith is the substance of things that are hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. So when you came into this room and you sat down in this chair, you had faith that that chair was going to hold you. Yes? Yes. Yes.
Well, better.
Well, but I mean, seriously, I've had faith too. You get in your vehicle, you turn on the ignition, and you had faith that your car is not going to put you down because you've taken care of it. Okay? So, like this is going to be a very interesting dialogue today because, again, faith is based on a person's own understanding of their religion or their belief system. But again, for me, it's a spiritual walk. It's a spirituality. It's a relationship with the Creator of your understanding. And if you only have a limited understanding, you're only going to say, well, if I don't see it, then it isn't so. But that's not true because you can't see air. That's the only way to look at things. But you can't see air.
That's being realistic.
But you can't see air. But you know that you breathe in it.
Well, that's true too. Okay, but I only believe what I see.
No, you don't.
Okay, of course. Very little of what I hear. Okay. Unless it's backed up with fact. Mr. Hatter, what is your thoughts?
This is a very interesting discussion. You said it was going to be controversial. It is. And I, excuse me, I have to go back to the Garden of Eden. When God created man, he created him perfectly. Now this is how I'll start out the discussion. To justify why man does what he does.
Well, see, even the Garden of Eden is false.
Okay, no.
Yeah.
But
in my opinion.
Man disobeyed God. He says, don't touch the fruit of life. The tree of life, right?
Well, you've got neuroscientists, that say God manifests itself, on the brain, on things, and things become infinite. All right.
Okay.
The wiring of the human mind is intrinsic.
Okay.
Human experience. God is in our minds, God is in our minds, or is God real? And we are just imagining. And the neuroscientists are saying, all right, are we just floating out here? You know what I mean? And imagining things that are taking place.
Well, who are the neuroscientists? I mean, just because they have some training and degrees or whatever, that gives them a certain perspective. Okay. Now, when Henry was just speaking, he was speaking about a creationist. He's speaking as a person who is a believer. Okay. So he brought up how, from our understanding as Christians, how we came to be. Okay.
But see. And I also believe in in the Big Bang theory. All right, the evolution.
Okay.
All right. So that's why I don't agree with Adam and Eve. I don't believe in Mary and Joseph. All right. I don't believe that that this white Jesus, all right, was crucified on the cross. Okay. I just think that, well, obviously it started somewhere.
Okay, but who said that he was white? I mean, we can go through a whole nother dialogue on that.
I was getting to that.
Okay.
If humanity began, and we'll jump in this real quick and then get out of it. If humanity
started, let me finish my thought.
I will.
Okay.
I'm sorry. If humanity began in Africa, all right, the cradle of civilization. Okay, everybody in the world, including all our millions of viewers outside in the internet, okay, all 9 billion of folk, you ain't white, you aren't Iranian, you aren't this and you aren't that, you're all African Americans. Okay,
no, not African Americans.
If everybody was the origin of mankind came from Africa, that makes everybody African American.
Why would they have to be? No, not African American.
Not American, but African.
Okay. African descent.
Okay.
You can go that far.
And I'm sorry.
As I said, from a biblical perspective, man was created perfect in the Garden of Eden, but he disobeyed God, and therefore he became imperfect. And I cannot believe that we presume that we know everything. Every time the scientist discovers something, guess what? He comes to a barrier and another question is asked. No matter how long we pursue the question of whether the existence of God is real or not, you will never get to a point where you can make that resolution. It will never be there. That even agnostics and religious people and atheists and all of those people can never get behind that barrier. So what's on the other side of the barrier? Now, I can't believe that people say, well, I just don't believe in God or in creationism or God or Jesus or any of those. I'm completely agnostic and I'm an atheist. But even an atheist believes in something. He believes in the absence of God. So that he believes in something. I can't believe that we cannot believe that there is something after life and death. You are hopeless. Your life is without meaning. If you do not put the concept of God into your living life, you can't explain why you're sitting at this table, or why you live, why you have a family, why you believe what you do. And who are the people sitting around the table? Because those are hard things to respond to. But guess what? When we believe in something like a deity or God or Jesus or Christianity, whatever you want to call it, we have hope. You know how strong hope is? We hope that someday we will unite with our loved ones, that we might have lived a life that was worthwhile living. Otherwise, none of this stuff makes sense that we see around it. We observe a phenomenon that does not make sense without it.
Well, again, when I have tried seances and things of that nature, all right, and tried to reach out, okay? I have yet to hear anything, okay, from, as they say, the other side, all right? And I probably never will, and my opinion is this. When your time is up, That's it.
And
You know
just
what I mean?
because you feel that way doesn't make it so.
That's true. That's true.
Okay.
But I have no
Evidence.
evidence.
You need
that-
evidence that's going to satisfy you, and you may not get that.
Maybe not.
And that's where faith kicks in.
And do you have any hope? Do you have any hope that you'll ever see your mom or dad?
Oh,
your
absolutely,
kid? Or to be
absolutely.
with them again, to be a child again. To
No,
be,
that I have. Now that I wish often.
well, this is the kind of aspiration and inspiration that belief gives to Christianity, whatever you want to call it, religion. But it gives you that personal satisfaction that your life is worthwhile living. Otherwise, it means nothing.
Right.
Well, I'm a firm believer is that I'm going to live life to the best I can, quality wise. While I'm here, where I can see and smell and touch.
Oh,
things.
you were talking about these 5 feelings of if you don't see it, and you can't touch it, you can't smell it, you can't feel it. You were right. That was the way they visualized things 2,000 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But then they arrived at things like the induction and deduction based on observations. For example, we don't have to see these things. We don't have to feel them. But somehow embedded in the brain, we can, based upon observation, deduce certain things. There's air in here because I breathe. I can feel it coming up your nose, Or there's a God because I didn't mean to use that one. But the same kind of argument goes for the existence of God. He exists because we deduce that he exists from the observations and from the sense and the hope that we get from it.
I agree with you. And I also want to say, in reference to some of the concern that Ron has voiced in terms, again, of those persons identified as perhaps religious frauds. You have always had, people who would be considered charlatans or people who have pimped a congregation based on their ignorance and maybe perhaps even keeping them ignorant. Okay. But again, even with that, there's a choice. You look around in this area or anywhere in the United States or around the world, there are churches, there are synagogues, there are places of worship. And the thing about that, and the way the Creator designed it, is he says you have free will, you have a choice. You can accept me or not. And here's a way in which you can worship me or not. You still have choices. See, when we were wired, as you were saying, there's something in our minds, in our DNA, in our soul, that we are searching. We are always constantly searching. And a lot of times we search for the physical things. And we search for the comforts. And we search for amenities that make us feel whole. But even after we get everything that there is physical, there's still something that our souls long for. And what is that? There's a relationship with our Creator. Okay, and so you have to figure that one out, because he says, I'm not telling you that you have to worship me. All I'm saying is I'm here. And when you're ready, you will, and you have all these other means to do it.
Well, I have tried, and I'm not going to give up. Don't get me wrong. But with all of the stuff that's going on, that I've experienced, in a relatively short period of time that I've been on Earth, it blows my mind that I probably the day I die, I'm still probably going to have questions. All right. You know what I mean? Why do my loved ones, die for no apparent reasons? You know what I mean? Why can't they find cures for diseases? Why do these millions of people die, every year because of conflict? All right, around the world. I mean, that's that I don't understand, and and when I broach those subjects or in my mind, or even in conversations with people, you know what I mean? Well, where is this God everybody is, is so dependent upon? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Where is He? I mean, if He's a He, it could be a she. I don't know.
He's
Where
here.
is this?
He's
you know what
here.
I mean?
He's here.
Well, then he ought to come up
here.
out of there.
He-
You know what I mean?
Well-
And bring peace to the world.
Well, I
That's
don't-
my opinion.
I got to say this. When Barbara died, I was mad at God.
And when my mother died, I was mad at God, and I still
I
am.
know people will say, well, that's sacrilegious and so on and so forth. But even the Bible tells you that there were people who questioned God at certain times.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I happen to believe in the Big Bang Theory too. But I don't think it disproves God or the existence of Christianity.
Right.
I think it amplifies it. Because
Well-
you had to have a mechanism that we could understand and use to create the things around us. And we, in turn, emulate everything that was done to build the things that we do, like automobiles and electric lights and so on and so forth. It's just like God did. So we emulate what God did.
That's right.
Well, with that, we will revisit religion at some other time, but we must bring this segment of the In My Opinion show to a close. I want to thank my very talented co-host, my technical staff, and you, our millions of viewers worldwide. Until next time, this is Ronald Berry Robinson and friends saying, stay focused.